Welcome, apprentices and acolytes, to unlock the knowledge. The Ahsoka finale is done and the series is over, and it's time to talk about it. Ready up.
Ready up. My destiny.
Welcome, apprentices and acolytes, to unlock the knowledge. And there are so many questions surfacing today because, my goodness gracious, I thought the finale of Ahsoka was beautiful. And you know, whenever these series end, fam, you can find us in one place, inside the Dark Temple, visited by Mara Jade, Luke Skywalker, and Kyle Katarn, and so many of the Force sensitives like yourself. I am Lord Dagovere, and it's time to unlock the knowledge. That's right. Let's go, man. Now, I can completely understand if you did not like the Ahsoka finale. And it is what it is. You know, every single series, I think, comes out with a finale. I thought the first Mandalorian finale was awesome. The second season finale was amazing. And I think it's hard to honestly, like, surpass that. Andor's finale was incredible. You know, but this one, man, this is one of my faves. This is probably one of my faves since the Luke Skywalker and the Jedi, the Rescue, whatever. Man, it's just so freaking awesome. Oh my God, man! When I think about finales, those are the two that I think about, right? I think about season 1 Mandalorian, season 2 Mandalorian. I think about Andor, and now I think about Ahsoka. For me, when I think about Disney Star Wars, there's only about 3 TV series projects that I think are the best around, and it's The Mandalorian, and not just any season of The Mandalorian. For me, The Mandalorian is so damn good, and I think, especially the first 2 seasons, I think it is so incredibly hard to replicate or create the success that The Mandalorian has, because in modern day media, I just think it's very competitive, man, and everyone is so hooked on nostalgia that they can't dislodge themselves from that feeling, that remembrance of, oh my God, this was the greatest thing ever. You know, people talk about the original trilogy. People talk about, you know, the prequel trilogy, whatever it is, that era in that they always talk about, oh man, it's not like they make them how they used to, you know, blah, blah, blah. You know, and that's because of nostalgia. People just have that closed-mindedness that this is the best it's ever going to be. Nothing's ever going to get better. Nah, man, you don't know. You weren't there, man. It wasn't that good. This was the good stuff, you know? And I feel like I hear that conversation all the time. But with The Mandalorian, it was sensational. And I always tell you that I feel like that success is because when you start having people that don't watch your shows, you know, that have never seen Star Wars before, they watch The Mandalorian. Was it because of Grogu? Was it because, you know, Mandalorian? Yeah, sure, absolutely, it probably was. And I feel like Ahsoka is like that too, you know? I in my heart of hearts, I believe Ahsoka was phenomenal, you know? And for me, it's Star Wars Visions, Ahsoka, and The Mandalorian. Andor is right there too. Only thing that I think Andor needed for me was someone, you know, maybe a Sith user, not a Sith, maybe an Inquisitor or something. I think that show could have really, you know, feasted off. That would have been really cool. But I think that's the purpose of Andor, is to show you that there's so much else going on. And I love the idea of that running into a Force sensitive is so, it's a spectacle, you know? It's not something that's supposed to happen. It's a very rare sighting. People don't even know these people exist. And it's so cool too, because there's about 10,000 Jedi, right? And it's awesome to think that, oh my God, the stories and myths are true. The Jedi are real, you know? And I love that idea of Star Wars because The Mandalorian first season does that so well, where, you know, Grogu uses the Force the first time against the Mudhorn to protect Din Djarin. And then Din is explaining it to Queel after, and Queel's like, I don't remember. I don't understand. Can you please tell me again? And Mando's like, I don't really understand it either. This is what happened, you know? And I love that. I love that magic sense, that fear of unknown, that feeling of unknown, right? And with Ahsoka, it's so different because you have some of the most compelling characters, some of the most freaking popular characters of all time in Star Wars, especially Thrawn, because so many people don't even understand, like, Thrawn single-handedly saved Star Wars in the 90s where there was nothing going on. And now you have this book, this book series, Heir to the Empire, this character that, you know, rekindled the love for Star Wars with the expanded universe. So I think the Star Wars fans owe so much to Timothy Zahn and Thrawn. And it's so cool that we have him now in live action. And now this series, this particular series, has explored so much, not just the amazing, the luscious, the gorgeous expanded universe of the Legends continuity, baby, yes, but also Ahsoka, the Force, outside the far, far away galaxy to Companion Galaxy, to Peridea. And now we have the acknowledgement of the Father, the gods of Mortis, the demigods. They're not really gods, the demigods of Mortis. And, oh my gosh, Anakin Skywalker's storyline post Return of the Jedi, which I think is incredible. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it, man. Like our boy Anakin Skywalker. He's doing it. He's still out there. And what's even amazing is that he's looking after Sabine and Ahsoka, the apprentice of the apprentice. So that's like his grandchild, you know? Oh man, that like, just me thinking about, like, when you realize that, like, how close, oh man, I live on this one area, fire alarms, I'm so sorry guys, I apologize. Okay, so it passed. So, when I think about that, right, when you realize that, like, how important Ahsoka was to the family, how important Anakin Skywalker, his idea of Ahsoka, you know, and how he looked over Ahsoka. And I think that this series did so well is that they showed a lot of great points about Anakin that really defended him. Like, yeah, you know, he becomes like the most terrible person in the entire galaxy. He does, okay? We get it, we understand. But one of the things that he didn't mess up was Ahsoka. You know that? And now that Ahsoka can look back instead of fearing, acknowledging her master and the idea of her master and whether she will become like her master, you know, she looks at Anakin Skywalker's teaching as something that was sacred, that she really could use. It is beautiful. It is so, so beautiful, man. And I wasn't expecting to see Anakin. You know, I wanted to see Anakin. I really, really wanted to see Anakin. I wanted to see Anakin and Obi-Wan Kenobi, you know, walk off. But maybe that we're gonna get that in a movie, right? It's a Force Ghost Party. That'd be really cool. But, man, to see Anakin in the World Between Worlds was something I never thought I was ever going to see. Post Return of the Jedi, I just felt like that was only room for the expanded universe. And I think that's why a lot of us enjoyed the expanded universe, right? The comics, books, the video games, is because all the things that we've ever wanted in the movies growing up, why didn't they do this? Why could they not do this? If that all gets answered and supplied to us in the books and comics. And now we have something live action to really lay on. It's a pillar, it's holding us up, keeping us afloat, and now we see that. And when you see that finale with Ahsoka and Sabine looking off into the twilight, and Anakin Skywalker, the shadow moving in the twilight, the shadow warrior, and he's watching over them, guiding them. That is so special, guys. And we're not even talking about Morai, too, you know? Like, every single show gets over, right? Especially The Mandalorian Season 3. I told you, I was like, I don't give a dang about Bo-Katan. I want to see Mando. But damn, dude, like, it made me like Bo-Katan so much. It made me like Bo-Katan so much. Oh my god, man. That's why I love Star Wars, I think, is because when you go back and rewatch stuff, you start to see little details. And the first time that I saw Ahsoka, the finale for Ahsoka, I didn't realize that Ahsoka nods when she's looking into nothingness, and then it finally pans out, and then you see Anakin Skywalker's silhouette, you know, draw in, and then it pans into Anakin Skywalker, a Force Ghost. I didn't notice that before. And what's also so compelling is that you could theorize that Sabine sensed Anakin before Ahsoka sensed. And, you know, that could be a lot of things, you know, maybe she just wasn't seeing that. I don't think that means that Sabine is more powerful or anything. I just think that people can do other things better than everyone else. Everyone has a certain skill, and I think that also just shows how improved Sabine has how far she's come. How improved her mental state is, her openness and willingness to open up to the Force since that era, that story arc in Star Wars Rebels about her family and wielding the Darksaber. She was closed off, and she was hella closed off, maybe even more so at the beginning of this series. Two different people at the start of the show and to the end of the show. Completely two different people, man. And that's what I love, is seeing how far that these characters have come. And I do think that we didn't really get to see Sabine be Sabine. I think that we really only got to see her be herself in the last 2 episodes, and there really wasn't a lot of room for that. It was really like an episode and a half, not even. But I hope we get to see more, and that's where the question is today. Like, what's next? What are we doing? What is, like, where do we go from here? And I know that I already know that we're getting a movie, but is a movie even enough? Is a movie even enough? I don't know, man. I don't know if a movie is enough. There's just so much happening in this storyline that I feel like we're gonna get a couple movies. I don't know if it's gonna be a trilogy, because I've always told you from the very start about all this, ever since the sequel trilogy ended. I just think that the trilogy era of movies needs to go away. And I think that you should tell stories in a natural way. And the natural way is to end them when they can end. And what I mean by that is, like, you set yourself up for failure when you give yourself a starting point and an ending point. And at first, that ending point and that timeline can be so very vague. But what happens is when you confine it to 3 portions, and you force yourself to finish before things really even get started. And that is my greatest critique about the sequel trilogy, is that just when it ends, it feels like it's starting. You have all these storylines that are done, it's over, now you can focus on what's really happening. And then when all that is done, you just didn't really get the experience that you wanted to, because you were forced to close off these storylines and characters' stories that, probably should have been fleshed out a little bit better. Decisions that were made that probably should have had a little bit more caretaking. And with this, this is the best way, in my opinion, to start a movie, is to have these characters fleshed out in other media, and then bring them into something large like a TV series, and then that accelerates the hype and momentum for a movie. And now you have everything else. You have your sole basis, right? Think of like a study guide, and the study guide is Ahsoka. But then you can get a study guide for your study guide that's a study guide, and then you can go into Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels, right? And that's what I'm talking about when more media, more Star Wars is good Star Wars, because more Star Wars fixes other Star Wars. And I just love that idea, man. Because one, as fans, there's so much content for us to enjoy, to absorb, and of course it's more money for these studios and everything, but it's more monies for the writers and the actors. Everybody gets paid, everybody's loving it, and when the story is exactly what it needed to be, and I think for Ahsoka it was exactly what it needed to be and more. And I think that has been my largest issue and worry throughout every single saga that we've seen with Star Wars, fam, is that there just isn't enough. Like, Book of Boba Fett. All right. Listen. This is gonna be the first time I'm going to admit this, but I don't like the Kenobi series, man. I think I dislike the Kenobi series more than the sequel trilogy. And when I say the sequel trilogy, okay, I'm really only talking about how much it was hard for me to enjoy and accept The Last Jedi, all right? And I just think that Kenobi just was not what it needed to be. And I think it was far from it. And even with the last 2 episodes, I still think that, I just haven't rewatched that show, man. And I am not that person. I do not rewatch shows, okay? I rewatch shows all the freaking time, man. Bad Batch, like anything that you can think of that you probably don't like. I've watched Book of Boba Fett. I've watched so many times. I love Book of Boba Fett. I love Book of Boba Fett, man. But Kenobi, I've rewatched it less than The Last Jedi. And I've actually watched The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker more because Kenobi makes me thankful for them. And I think that says a lot. And that's, I'm not trying to like diss or humiliate Kenobi. It's just that I just feel like Kenobi by far is the weakest Star Wars show, because I don't think there is a bad Star Wars show. I just think that Kenobi is the weakest because it missed out on so many possible things that could have happened in that show, you know? And I hope that we get something else along those lines, but I'm just so much more focused on what Ahsoka and the Mandoverse has brought us, you know, what the video games are bringing us, these new movies, give me some KOTOR, the future of Star Wars, with where it's going in the sequel trilogy, because I want Ahsoka to tie into that and help that out, you know? But that's all I care about right now is the Ahsoka series, the Mandoverse, and the movies of Heir to the Empire. You know, what are we getting? What are we getting, dude? Let's start with the storylines. All right? And I want to save one of them for last, but Thrawn, the Chiss Ascendancy, I don't know what's happening there. Thrawn seems like a big bad villain. Maybe we'll have a lot of that fleshed out later in the movies. And I'm anticipating Timothy Zahn, the creator of those stories and the books that Thrawn is basically highlighted in everything. I'm assuming that storyline will probably be, he's going to help out with a lot of that, because I think they should bring him on. I think they should have brought him on a long time ago. A lot of these expanded universe writers should have a hand in creating movies and shows that they literally sat there and wrote books and comics and video games for in the entire 30 years of the expanded universe and more. And why not just go out and get them? And then we have, you know, Sabine and Ahsoka, the apprenticeship. You know, Ezra's now back in the galaxy. Is he going to mentor Jacen Syndulla? What's going to happen with Jacen Syndulla? Is he going to turn to the dark side and become the new Darth Caedus in our era? Which I think is very possible. I'm probably going to make a video about that. You know, the New Republic, how does the Resistance get created? Is it because of Thrawn, and why isn't Thrawn's resurgence mentioned in the sequel trilogy? You know, there's a lot of awesome questions, and I'm okay with these questions because I want to experience these questions. You know, what's gonna happen with Shin? How are they going to get back to the known galaxy, the known faraway galaxy? And of course, in my opinion, the most important question is what is going on with Baylan? How are we going to deal with Baylan? How are we going to deal with Ray Stevenson's recasting? Is that even going to happen? I personally think that we should recast it. Personally, I think that his story is so compelling, and it's very clearly that they had so much planned out for him. But like, I just don't know, man. Are we allowed to do that? Is that okay to do that? I feel like it's not. His legacy just sitting out there. I think it's so beautiful that he's, you know, that he's there on Mortis, and he's there on Peridia, and he's looking at the father. He's sitting on the father's point, and is pointing to him. And I feel like spiritually he's there. You know, I did not know, bro. I had no idea that it was gonna be like this, man. When I saw Shin and Baylan, I didn't really care too much. I was like, cool, Dark Jedi, false Jedi, right? I'm down with it. I'm so down with it. Let's go. And now, dude, I just feel like I didn't get enough, and because it was so good, both of them. Even Shin only had like 13 words, 13 sentences in this entire series, but like, I loved all of them. I loved every character in this show, man. And Baylan sitting there on Mortis, on the Mortis god's finger, pointing at the monolith. Man. You know, they tell you about life, and they tell you about how don't take it for granted and stuff like that, and you know, when you see these actors and their performances and these writers, you know, like, you never know when they could be gone, fam. And it makes me sad, too, because these stories, you know, they're coming from Dave Filoni, you know, they're Jon Favreau, and you know, not all of them are gonna be here forever, guys. You know, and I hope that when we listen to these stories and we watch this stuff, we have that in mind. Because at the end of the day, you don't know what you got till it's gone. But there's one thing that will always be here. And it's the Dark Temple, baby, coming in from the Dark Temple, visited by Mara Jade, Luke Skywalker, and Kyle Katarn, and so many other Force sensitives like yourself. I am Lord Dagovere, fam. This is Unlock the Knowledge, and I'll see you around. Deuces.